People can get fairly set in their ways in 7 Days to Die, especially if they've been playing for a long time across multiple updates. In my experience, everyone tends to gravitate towards a melee weapon, a ranged weapon, an armor type, and a generic playstyle that they rarely stray from. This video will remind you of some of the most useful mechanics that tend to be ignored by players in the chaos of 7 Days to Die. Now, I guarantee that some of you will be very aware of all of these things, but hopefully I can share some tip or trick along the way to help you improve your game. Anyway, if you learn anything new to add to your playstyle, be sure to leave a like, but with that out of the way, let's get into the 7 things players should use more in 7 Days to Die Alpha 19. Number 1 is farming. We're starting off with farming because it's going to be the basis to assist you in a lot of the other tips, so bear with me. Farming gets a bit of a bad rap in 7 Days to Die Alpha 19, mostly because of that big nerf that happened a few alphas ago. But if you're already going Fortitude and there are a lot of other good perks to get in the Fortitude tree, then there's no reason to not start a farm as soon as possible. Alternatively, if you're not going Fortitude, it still doesn't hurt in maybe the mid-game around day 30-ish to really start using all that rotten flesh and seeds for something. I'd still highly recommend getting Fortitude up to level 5 at least to get living off the land at rank 3 to make the whole process go much smoother. But once you get past that initial grind of setting up a farm, you'll have some serious power on your hands. But what should you grow? Well, ideally everything, right? But if you don't have the time or space for that, here are my top 5 things you should grow in your farm. Number 1 is corn. Corn you'll need for most of the best food recipes in the game, so growing that is a must. Number 2 is potatoes. Potatoes again are used in most of the best food recipes in the game, so be sure to grow them as well. Number 3 is aloe. Aloe is used in first aid bandages, and if you grow a huge amount of aloe, you'll never have to worry about health again, especially if you have a steady supply of cloth, maybe from a cotton farm. Number 4 for me has to be supercorn. Supercorn can be used for glue, and with one of the tips I'll be giving out later, you're going to need a lot of glue. And number 5 goes to coffee. Blackstrap coffee is a fantastic drink item for all purposes. If you have rank 4 of the Art of Mining book, you can make blackstrap coffee and drink it for a 10% boost in harvest. You can also use it for a 25% boost in salmon regen on horde nights, and if all that wasn't enough, it also gives you hydration and cold resistance. Much like in real life, coffee is pretty powerful. So now that we have a massive farm with everything you'll need for the coming tips, let's move on to number 2. Number 2 is naturally cooking. Cooking is not as important for your character as it once was in say Alpha 15 or 16, but it can be used to get some pretty powerful food items which can turn the tide of your playthrough. As I said earlier, you should definitely get yourself a farm of corn and potatoes, and definitely mushrooms as well, because all of the strongest recipes in the game will need a combination of those 3 items. I'd recommend sticking with recipes that require things you can either farm or hunt, so stuff with meat, animal fat, vegetables and water are all the best food items for general use, because they don't rely on RNG. So with that in mind, it can be very easy to mass produce a lot of meat stew, which gives 50 food, 25 health and 30 water. Meat stew is my favourite food item because it's so cheap, it restores a decent amount of health and it gives food and water, meaning I can save slots on having drinks with me. But steak and potato meals are a great alternative with no corn needed. Vegetable stews are also a strong competitor, and there are plenty of other extremely powerful stat boosting foods, but they all require canned food to make, which is why I recommend sticking with meat stew, steak and potatoes and vegetable stews, as the ingredients are so easy to gather a lot of. Number 3 is explosives. So many players underuse these weapons. You should not skip out on crafting your own frag grenades and contact grenades in the later stages of the game. But the real gem I don't think people use enough of is the rocket launcher. Load this bad boy up with some rocket frags and watch those hordes get decimated. Now you remember earlier I told you to start a supercorn farm. That's because you'll be needing a reliable source of glue for the duct tape you'll need to craft rocket frags. But with that set up, these things can turn Horde Night from an ammo burning nightmare into a breeze all the way into the hundreds of days stages of the game. Just remember to craft rocket frags, not regular rockets. Regular rockets will just destroy your horde base. Also, avoid dynamite and time charges. Those are designed for specific structural damage and not zombies. They'll do very little but ruin your base. Moving away from the stuff we set up with that farm, number 4 is similar to number 2 in that it's all about consumables, but it pertains more so to the candy you get from vending machines and the advanced medicines you can craft with the physician perks. Let's start with the candy. The candy in vending machines is extremely powerful and very cheap. There are a lot of them, so I'll stick to the most powerful here. First up we have the Skull Crushers, 100 dukes for a 50% boost to your melee damage for a limited time. That sounds like an absolute win to me. enemy. We also have health bars, which give you 10 bonus health, and there are not a lot of things in this game that can increase your maximum health, 50 critical resistance, and 200 critical healing. What that means is you'll go longer before you take a critical injury, and if you do take a critical injury, it will heal twice as fast. In fact, I'd say the health bar is the most underused item in this game, and it is amazing for 100 dukes. There's also rock busters, which boost mining harvest by 20%, a perfect combination with your new coffee, and atom junkies, which boost explosion damage by 50%, another great complement to your rockets. All of these things can be found in working vending machines for 100 dukes. Along with that though, there are craftable consumables like fort bites, steroids, and recog. You can find them all in medical containers as well. Fort bites give a 50% damage mitigation at the cost of hydration. Recog gives a 50% damage bonus with ranged weapons, and steroids give you max inventory and allow you to run 10% faster. Again, all at the cost of some hydration. You might find the crafting recipes for recog and fort bites a bit steep, but you can always find them in medical containers instead. Just be sure to not let them clog up your storage and just use them on horde nights to make them go that much smoother. There's no point stockpiling them if you're never going to use them. Speaking of making horde nights go smoother, number 5 and 6 will help drastically with that. Number 5 is specialized ammo types. Now hollow point is generally considered by the community to not be worth the extra gunpowder costs for its damage on most difficulties, so we'll skip them. But armor piercing ammo is definitely worth that extra cost and increased usage of repair kits. Now I wouldn't recommend exclusively using armor piercing ammo because it's expensive and largely unnecessary, but I'd always recommend carrying a small amount on horde night to help melt the demos, as armor piercing ammo reduces enemy armor by 20% and allows an additional 1 target penetration. What this means is you can shoot through one zombie into another. If you combine armor piercing rounds with rank 4 of the penetrator perk in the perception tree, you can turn your sniper rifle into a horde melting machine with up to 4 target penetration, essentially allowing you to hit 5 targets at full damage with a single bullet. Also, the armor piercing 44 ammo has slightly better armor penetration, and that makes it perfect for popping demos with headshots. And the armor piercing shotgun slugs have a base penetration of 2, meaning you can hit up to 3 targets with it. Just remember that shotguns do not benefit from the extra target penetration from the penetrator rank 4 perk, so snipers will still win out on hitting multiple targets behind each other. Number 6 is definitely one of the more well-known and appreciated features on this list, and that is robotic weapons. Now the robotic turret is pretty much worthless due to the fact it will almost always hit the button on demolition zombies' chests, but the robotic sledge is by far Alpha 19's standout horde night star. The reason sledges are so good is that they can knock over zombies, allowing you to really control the flow of zombies. Just remember that a sledge turret placed at the foot of a demolition zombie will almost always detonate it, so it's a good idea to drop the turret on a half block to avoid that mishap. Now even if you don't invest in Robotic's inventor, every player can have a robotic turret active in their immediate area and use it to cause destruction. But of course someone who is invested in Robotic's inventor can definitely deal even more destruction with 2 upgraded turrets. Now I'm aware a lot of people are fully aware of the power of the sledge turret, but I know at least one person has been ignoring them, so I felt the need to put it on this list. Anyway, just before we jump into number 7, I just want to remind you that if you're enjoying the video and want to see more, hit that subscribe button. But let's just jump straight into number 7, the agility tree. The entire agility tree. The agility attribute is generally considered to be one of the weakest of the 5 attributes, especially when used on its own. It's no secret that agility can't exactly stand up to the power of strength, fortitude, or intellect on its own, due to the fact that it's geared towards stealth and mobility, and stealth is useless on horde night. But there's more to agility than meets the eye. In my opinion, every single build in the game is made much better by a few points into agility. The 3 big perks we're going to look at are run and gun, flurry of blows, and parkour. So let's just get started with run and gun. The final rank of run and gun is available at agility 7, so it doesn't require too much perk investment that some other perks might need. At the final rank of run and gun, you'll have a 25% better hip fire accuracy. This is perfect as a complement to either a shotgun build or a machine gun build. But on top of that, we also have the removal of the reloading movement penalty. This movement penalty, for me as a shotguns player primarily, can be a real killer. This perk can save you in those tense moments where you'd normally be walking backwards at a snail's pace. And of course, run and gun doesn't hurt for any other kind of guns build. But what about flurry of blows? Well, much like run and gun, flurry of blows has 3 ranks, with the final one needing agility 7. So it's not a whole hog investment, which is always nice. With the final rank of flurry of blows, you'll have a 25% faster attack speed and a bonus 30 stamina per kill with clubs, brawling weapons, knives, machetes and stun batons, making it a perfect addition for any club strength build, a necessity for a good brawling build, and a strong boost to any intellect builds that actually use the stun baton. Sexual Tyrannosaurus, Flurry of Blows and the Bar Brawler book series makes brawling the absolute strongest melee build in the game. Brawling builds can be considered an honourable mention on this list because they are literally unkillable on every difficulty if you have an IQ above room temperature. If you guys want to see a video where I break down just how unkillable brawling builds can be, let me know. But enough of that, we still have one more perk to go over. The third and final perk we're going to go over here is Parkour. Easily the most underrated perk in the game. Maxing out at agility 8, it allows you to fall safely for an additional 5 meters before taking damage. It reduces the stamina cost of jumping by 40%, completely removes sprained legs and broken legs from fall damage, and if all that wasn't enough, it allows you to jump an additional 2 meters. This allows the player character to clear a 3 block height with a jump. This perk is a lifeline for a lot of insane nightmare players as it gives you the ability to really take advantage of AI by letting you jump up a lot higher to either run away or take them out from a safer position, and is a fantastic jewel in the crown of any build. Those 3 perks make a great additional help to almost any build and are really the saving grace of an otherwise weak attribute like agility. So what did you guys think of those 7 things you should use more often? Are you already a 7 Days to Die pro and remember to use absolutely all of these when you can? Did you pick up any tips and tricks from this video? If you didn't, then sorry I guess. Anyway, if you enjoyed, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and why not check out this video appearing on the right, which features 10 things to do while you're bored waiting for Alpha 20. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.